Meet the sheriffs.
Let's go and introduce ourselves.
My High Court enforcement officers.
We're here today to execute a High Court writ.
They're the men whose job it is to get you your money back.
It's an arrestable offence to stop me in doing my job.
If you've been ripped off and don't know where to turn,
I'm not waiting anymore. I'm ordered to seize goods to clear this debt, which would mean clearing this place out.
if you've been to court but still not been paid what you're owed,
Why don't you just tell me who you are? This is an absolute crock. You need to pay this.
the High Court enforcement officers are charged by law to recover what a court says is rightfully yours.
I've seized your car, sir.
You can have a letter through the door or we'll go through the window.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's time to call the sheriffs.
Collected 42 grand.
Coming up, Michelle Fenner is owed £1,200 by an estate agent.
I just think that they're so arrogant. It's a total lack of respect.
Can the sheriff succeed where she's failed?
It's about a High Court writ that's been issued, some outstanding money. We're here to collect it today.
Steve McLaughlin paid over £3,000 for a BMW, but got a banger.
I turned the ignition key off, took it out, and the engine was still running.
Can the sheriffs convince the dealer this is a debt that needs paying? And Lawrence and Kev Xerox in on some seizable assets.
I'm ordered here today to seize goods to clear this debt, which would mean clearing this place out. That shook him. That shook him rigid.
The East End of London, the beating heart of the capital's business activity, a melting pot of London life. And today, where Sheriffs Mark Newton and Tony Smith are headed, on their way to help out a lady let down by a letting agent. Michelle Fenner is a local councillor in the seaside town of Broadstairs in Kent. It's a beautiful part of the world where she brought up her son Philippe after moving from her native France. But after recently graduating from university, Philippe decided to leave Kent and lay down roots in London. He planned to do bar work to subsidise his real ambition of becoming an illustrator.
He's always been passionate about drawing. The minute he was able to hold a pen when he was little, he started drawing. And it was so good that he was able to do a degree in illustration. And there he was going to use that in his professional life. You know, we want to do everything we can to help him achieve that.
Philippe got himself a job and agreed to flat share with some friends. They soon found an apartment in East London, being rented through a local lettings agency, Madison Brook. Happy with it, Michelle agreed to stump up the £1,200 deposit and holding fee for Philippe. All he had to do now was wait to move in, which Madison Brook told him would be in September.
We had the address of Madison Brooks, we had their details in terms of bank account, etc. It was all apparently above the board. There was no reason for me to be suspicious of any wrongdoing.
But September came and went, and so did the moving-in date. Despite chasing Madison Brook for news, neither he nor Michelle could get any date at all for moving in. Desperately needing accommodation so he could begin his job, Philippe and Michelle decided they had no choice but to pull out of the flat. Expecting the swift return of her deposit, Michelle was philosophical about the problem.
I was concerned, I was disappointed, but at the same time thinking, well, these sort of things do happen.
While Philippe went looking for a new flat, Michelle waited to get her £1,200 back. And waited, and waited. But nothing came. Despite being assured by Madison Brook that the money would be returned, not a penny came her way.
They cashed the money. It was a bank transfer, so the money was on their account immediately. So they could start using it however they wanted. They chose to keep it wrongly. I just think that they're so arrogant. They're just really are treating people badly. It's a total lack of respect.
8 months after pulling out of the flat, and still without her money, Michelle took Madison Brook to court. But the letting agent failed to attend. The judge ruled in Michelle's favour and ordered Madison Brook to pay her back in full. But to date, Michelle has still not received a penny.
No, we do care. It's a lot of money for us.
If Michelle's to get any of her money back, her only hope now rests with Sheriffs Mark and Tony. But before they can get any money from them, Mark and Tony have got to find the Madison Brook office. And in the dense lanes of London's Docklands, that's not proving easy.
Number 20.
Number 20, Unit A, isn't it?
Unit B.
Unit B. Just love numbers that go 4, 15, 2.
Might be 15 to unit though. That's 2.
What are we after?
20.
Unable to find it in the van, Mark decides on a more traditional method.
Look, there's a map there. We can look on the map. Where are we?
There, I think.
We're up there. Just back there. That says 14, doesn't it? See, that's Unit 20. They're not even on there, are they? We'll go and ask them what number. I don't think there's anyone in there. Yeah, there might be.
Can local knowledge help where everything else has failed?
What's the Madison Brook lettings? Just over there. Out of this. No worries. Thanks very much. Lovely. Cheers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That been there.
It'd be there.
Mark and Tony navigate all the way round the corner, where they find the office. They head in.
This is Madison Brook Docklands letting agents, yeah? Yeah. It's about a High Court writ that's been issued. Some outstanding money.
Right, okay.
We're here to collect it today.
Bear me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no problem.
Take a seat.
Yeah, no worries.
So far, so good. They're in, and they've been offered a seat. Soon after, a manager arrives.
It's to do with, I'll just give you a writ that's been issued against... Yeah, that's yours anyway. That's yours anyway. Yeah, no problem.
The manager heads off to study the writ. On a typical day for the sheriffs, it's rare they get a nice sit-down, so Mark and Tony take the opportunity to browse the glossies.
Aston Martin.
£560. Now that's the Martin trainers.
I wouldn't wear it. Probably ain't got our size anyway.
But before they've had a chance to get a shopping list together, the manager's back with some news.
That's done for me, okay?
Oh, you paid it into our via that.
To Mark's surprise, and with no arguments at all, the manager's transferred the money in full, there and then into the sheriff's account, which means Michelle finally getting the cash she's owed.
Yeah, that's spot on. All right.
And that's yours. Thank you very much.
All right, lovely. No problem. Thanks very much. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's been as easy a job as it ever gets for the sheriffs, and Mark is understandably delighted.
That was an amazing result, to be honest, because we was literally in there no more than 10 minutes. The guy said the name, he had a vague memory of the name, went off. I was expecting him to come back and question it or deny all knowledge, and literally came back with the thing to say that he transferred the money and it's all done. To be honest, I'm amazed. I was a bit in shock when he come back and went, it's paid.
But the real winner has been Michelle Fenner, who's finally received the £1,652, including all additional legal costs that was rightfully hers.
It was good that they were able to go in, get the money. Thank you very much, goodbye. It's gone straight into the bank, and it was needed there, no doubt. Really, the lesson is to persist. You know you're right, and you just got to keep at it until you get what you want and what is really rightfully owed to you.
Being a sheriff is neither 9 to 5 nor office-based. Sheriffs cover the length and breadth of England and Wales, enforcing over 70,000 High Court writs every year. And setting out to enforce one of those are Sheriffs Lawrence Griggs and Kev McNally.
We're on our way towards Enfield now. We've got an employment tribunal case with two defendants. One is Photocopiers Direct Limited and the other is Costas Ionu, who I would imagine is the director of the company.
The former employee is owed over £20,000 for unfair dismissal. But despite having been told by a court of law that the money's rightfully theirs, they've still not received a penny of it. Aiming to change that, Lawrence and Kev arrive at director Costas Ionu's house. They park up and head in. No one's answering the door, and neighbours soon inform the sheriffs that that's unlikely to change in a hurry.
They've been away a little while, have they?
He's on holiday. When are they back, do you know?
They've lived there a while, haven't they?
So how long have they been gone for?
About 6 weeks.
Yeah. Duration of the school holidays, the gent's saying.
6 weeks is too long even for Lawrence and Kev to wait for a debtor. This situation is usually the end of the story for the sheriffs. But while Lawrence fills out the paperwork, a sharp-eyed Kev spots a clue inside Mr. Ionu's car, which might mean this enforcement isn't over yet.
Did you see that paperwork there? Photo imaging, so that all correlates with the...
Yeah, we got any addresses on it? Oh, look, there we go. Unit 31.
Cumberland Business Park.
With a possible second address traced, the sheriffs prepare to head off. But not before they've seized Mr. Ionu's car, on paper at least. Time to move on. If Lawrence can find a letterbox for the seizure paperwork.
Round the front. Lawrence.
While avoiding the attentions of his growing legion of fans.
Ah, so you've seen us before.
Is he? Don't tell him that.
Clearly, Lawrence's television fame is spreading.
Is that your first time being recognised, Lawrence?
No, it isn't my first time being
I think it is now, isn't it? I can see by that smile on your face it is.
Bye. Hey, why are you into us now?
That's your fan base, mate.
Oh, streets out.
Putting their fans behind them, the sheriffs head out to check out the new business address. The boss may be on holiday, but Lawrence is determined that won't stop him getting his client the money they're owed.
Just because he's out of the country doesn't mean that we can't collect from his company or seize assets from his company. And if need be, he'll have to do a bank transfer from wherever he is in the world on holiday. So we should be able to clear it up if there are sufficient assets there.
And 15 minutes later, they found their way to Photocopiers Direct Limited's head office.
31, there. Photocopiers Direct Limited.
Lights are on.
But is there anybody home?
Heading inside, there is someone home, although it's not Director Costas Ionu, but a receptionist.
Ah, hello there. I'm a High Court Enforcement Officer, and I'm here today to execute a writ against Photocopiers Direct Limited. I'm here today to seize goods to the value of £20,741 and a penny, or collect payment. Is it Mr. Ionu, the director? Yeah. And he's on holiday. I know, I've just been to his house, and his neighbours told me he's on holiday. Are you able to get him on the phone at all?
With Lawrence loose in the office, the receptionist wastes no time in getting company director Costas Ionu on the phone.
Hello there, sir. I'm here today to execute a High Court writ. We are here today to collect £20,741 and a penny, and we're here to seize goods to that value.
While Kev gets listing company assets, the director tells Lawrence that he's trying to appeal the court's decision. But that doesn't bother Lawrence or his High Court writ.
It doesn't matter that there's an appeal going on, sir. On the 42nd day, you should have paid what was outstanding at that point in time, and you didn't, so it's been transferred to the High Court for enforcement purposes. It doesn't matter, sir. It doesn't matter. Right, well, then, you know, your goods are going to be seized then, sir.
The director is convinced the sheriff should stop their enforcement. But Lawrence is having none of it.
The bottom line is, I have a live High Court writ in my possession today. The only way you can prevent further action is to pay in full. We're not here tomorrow, we're here today. We don't work on promises of payment tomorrow, we work on what you managed to pay us today. Yep, I'll wait here, sir, and assist my colleague with his seizure. OK?
The director says he's going to talk to his solicitor. Lawrence, meanwhile, goes off to inspect the company's assets. Whether he'll get his hands on them or any money remains to be seen. We'll find out later.
Let's go then.
Being a sheriff can take you to the strangest of places.
We found it and we're here. Holman swimming pools, look.
In the pursuit of the oddest of things.
Unless he's sold them already, there's 3,000 sheep that we're going to seize and remove.
The sheriffs have seized bikes, cars, boats and even planes in their time.
We'll be seizing an aeroplane this afternoon.
There it goes, down the runway. Follow that plane.
To get people back the money that a court of law says is rightfully theirs.
Today, it will need to be dealt with.
High Court enforcement officers have collected almost £200 million of unpaid court judgments in the last 3 years.
The total due today is £11,757.96. How would you like to pay?
Sheriffs have more powers than bailiffs to recover money to pay off debts.
This place, trust me, could be emptied in about an hour.
These days, a High Court writ costs £60. If the sheriffs are successful, that's it. If they're unsuccessful, the only cost is a £60 admin fee.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Pick up.
Okay.
On the other side of the country, Sheriff Darrell Orton is on a mission to get back someone else £1,340 they're rightfully owed.
We're off to Kenilworth today. We're off to see the defendants of Michael Mooney.
Mr. Mooney is a letting agent who rented out a flat for a landlady, Sally England, but kept some of her rental money for himself. Sally took him to court, but when he didn't contest the case, was awarded £1,340. But despite Sally's victory, he still hasn't paid up. Sally's is one of 4 county court judgments Mr. Mooney has against him when Darrell arrives at his house aiming to get her money back. Almost immediately, he spots a valuable asset on the front drive.
I'm going to seize the vehicle. It's probably on finance, but I will make a note of it.
If the car belongs to the defendant and he refuses to pay up, Darrell can seize it to sell to cancel out the debt. His van's parked across the drive to make sure the car's going nowhere as he heads for the front door.
Good morning, sir. From Michael Mooney. Got a High Court writ to execute against yourself on behalf of Sally England.
For what, sir?
With some outstanding rent arrears.
That's all sorted.
It hasn't been sorted, sir. She's taking you through the High Courts now.
I don't know anything about it, sir.
Right, you had a county court judgment back in September last year.
This is all been sorted. She actually owes me money.
Right, that's a separate issue. We've got a live writ. I'm here now to collect £1,722.13 or to seize goods to the value of.
Well, I know nothing about this, sir, so I'm going to close the door. Again, to get some legal advice.
Well, the new vehicle will be seized.
It's not mine. It's on lease.
Can you get the documentation for that, please? I'll just have that, sir.
I need a copy of this. Can I get a copy of this? Just 1 second, I'll get the paperwork.
It's not surprising the man is careful to close the door behind him, as sheriffs have the power to enter residential properties by open or unlocked doors or windows. Darrell would dearly love to get inside, as once there, he can list assets to seize, and not even the police can remove him. A few minutes later, having spoken to his lawyer, Mr. Mooney returns, and this time he's taking precautions. He insists the matter has now been sorted out.
This has all been settled.
It hasn't. I wouldn't be here if it had been settled.
Yeah, I've got a thing.
What thing have you got?
What's the next thing?
It needs to be paid. I'm not going to be leaving here until it's paid. I'm going to be charging £217.80 per hour on here until it's paid.
Yeah, I'll call the police.
Call the police, sir.
Mr. Mooney does go inside to call the police. That done, he comes back to the door with a request for Daryl.
Will you please leave the premises?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
They're going to go, right? Please come now.
I'll wait for the police then. I need my paperwork back as well, sir.
Yeah.
The prospect of the police arriving doesn't worry Daryl one bit.
It was good to have him there. Especially with awkward customers like this. He's not being awkward, but just tricky, putting his lock on.
Tricky or not, Mr. Mooney wants Daryl gone.
Move your van. Move your van, please.
Why?
It's not your drive.
Well, the other vehicles, I'm waiting for the vehicle to be seized.
That's not your van.
You haven't showed Piranha's proof yet. Van's not going anywhere.
Moments later, and an increasingly frustrated Mr. Mooney's back at the door.
Please move your van.
No.
Why?
So I'm here to execute this high court writ. This needs to be paid.
It's not being paid because it's already... There's no... I owe nobody.
You do, sir.
I do not.
You do.
I do not.
You do.
I do
You
not.
do.
I do not. It's not against my community. It shouldn't be
It is against my community.
It's not me.
I'll wait till the police come, sir, then we'll get it resolved.
Please move your van.
Do you want to give me my original copy back, please?
Will you move your van then, please?
Do you want to give me my original copy
Will you
back?
move your van,
No.
please? No.
No.
My daughter's coming home soon, and she won't be able to park the car.
That's okay. She can park it by the side of my van.
But you're blocking the van. for
Okay.
10 minutes.
Not until you pay this, sir.
I don't know anybody who knows.
What's that, sorry?
I don't know anybody who...
You do?
I don't.
You do.
I don't. Have you got any paperwork?
You just had the paperwork off me.
You're bullying me. And you're intimidating me.
How come I be bullying and intimidating you, sir?
Because I asked you to.
I'll wait here till the police turn up.
With Michael Mooney proving a difficult customer and locked out of the house, Daryl's getting nowhere. If he's going to get any money back for Sally England, he needs to up the pressure. We'll see how he gets on later. Back in North London, Sheriffs Lawrence and Kev are at the offices of Photocopiers Direct, trying to recover over £20,000 in unpaid wages owed to a former employee. Lawrence is still trying to convince absent owner Costas Ionu to pay up. In the meantime, he and Kev have started listing company assets in case they need to seize them to pay off the debt. And being an office equipment business, there's no shortage of them.
These parts, I haven't numbered, I mean...
They're all toners, so you literally just do a head count of how many toners you've got.
25C552 toner cartridge towers. I'm listing like a demon.
That's the kiddie. You're learning.
Moments later, Mr. Ionu rings back saying that he's talked to his solicitor, who's assured him he shouldn't have to pay. But Lawrence has some news for him that might change his mind.
I've seized your car, sir. No, I haven't removed it at the moment. I'm ordered here today to seize and, if necessary, remove goods to clear this debt, which would mean clearing this place out. And then if there's any outstanding money after that's been sold, I would then be reattending your home address. I've already been there and seized your Mercedes this morning, and I would be reattending if there's any outstanding balance. I'll be reattending with a view to removing goods from your residential address, if the goods in this property here don't cover the debt. OK, sir.
Lawrence thinks his threats might be getting through to Mr. Ionu.
That shook him.
Did it? What, going around his house?
Yeah, that shook him rigid.
But before they can list any more assets, a call comes through for Lawrence. But this time, it's not Mr. Ionu, it's his solicitor. And he's not happy at all about Lawrence's presence on the premises or his threats to seize goods. He says he's put in an appeal on Mr. Ionu's behalf, which means Lawrence should back off. But it takes more than a legal qualification to stop Lawrence enforcing a writ.
Right, that doesn't matter to our writ. We have a live writ. It doesn't matter. Well, that's nothing to do with us. I've been handed a live writ and I enforce that writ. We're going round and round in circles. You do what you've got to do and I'll do what I've got to do. OK? OK, bye-bye.
After an hour on the premises, Lawrence still doesn't have a payment. Unless he can convince them they need to pay, he could end up with nothing for his client. Time to show them that he means business. Bring on the removal truck.
Alright, so yeah, I'm going to need at least one 7.5 ton truck, preferably with a tail lift, because it's loads of photocopiers.
And nothing in the office is safe from Lawrence's clutches.
Are you able to back up the systems? Do you know what you need to do to back up the systems? Because we're going to start turning it off shortly. Everything. Everything. It's not yours personally, is it? It's the company computer. Everything will be going. The chairs, the stereo, everything.
Lawrence would prefer some kind of payment to going to the trouble of removing goods. He decides to make one last call to the director to see if he can get some payment out of him today, even if it's not the full amount.
Can you do £10,000, which is just under half?
And after taking a moment to think about it...
You need to do it by immediate payment as well, so that I can check that it's in our bank account, yeah?
Bingo. The director can't do £10,000, but agrees to pay £7,000, with the rest to follow. It might be less than the full writ, but with an absent company director and only a large quantity of toner cartridges to seize, it's a valuable result for the sheriffs.
All right, Soph. Could you check the account for me, please? I believe the money should be there now. All right, lovely. All right, cheers. Bye.
And with that, it's game, set and match for the sheriffs. A partial payment with the rest to come at a later date.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
So that's the job done as far as we're concerned. There's no more we could do today. We've probably, in fact, collected more than the goods in there were worth. So I think we've done quite well to get the part payment.
An empty house and an unpromising start couldn't stop the sheriffs getting a result. And they're not leaving things there.
Yeah, if he doesn't get a stay and he doesn't make any kind of payments or put in a proposal that's accepted by the claimant, then we'll be back.
And since Lawrence and Kev's visit, Photocopiers Direct have paid up the money owed in full. Director Kostas Ionou told us the only reason he hadn't paid the debt previously was that he was still going through the appeals process for the Employment Tribunal. He said he had been abroad when his final appeal had been rejected and so had been late in paying up. He said it was the first time he'd gone through the tribunal process and that the debt had now been paid in full and that the matter had been dealt with and closed. Back in the Midlands, Sheriff Darrell Orton is still locked outside the home of letting agent Michael Mooney. He's trying to get him to pay up rental money he owes to a former client, Sally England. With the police on their way, he's desperate to ratchet up the pressure on Mr. Mooney to pay up. If he could get inside the house, he could seize assets. But with the front door locked and chained, can he find another way in? Sheriffs can legally climb perimeter walls or fences at residential properties. But today, a sure-footed Darrell just needs to lift the latch. And he's in. He's looking for an unlocked back door or window to get him into the house. But he's out of luck.
It's locked as well. After all that hard work.
Mr. Mooney doesn't want Darrell poking round his backyard again and locks the gate behind him. He obviously doesn't know Darrell can legally climb the fence any time he wants. But Darrell hasn't completely given up on getting inside.
He'll let the police in, I would have thought. And he may not lock the door behind him once they're in. And then I can gain peaceable entry then. So that's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for.
And 35 minutes after ringing the police...
Oh, here they are. Got a High Court writ. After just £1,722 from him, he's refusing entry, saying he doesn't owe the money. I said, well, I'm not going to go until it's resolved. You do owe the money.
Yeah.
He's just saying, no, I don't. She owes me money. I'm calling the police.
Okay.
Hence you out here.
Not wanting to get into trouble with the office, Darryl wants his writ back.
This is the High Court writ. He's actually took a photocopy of it and given me the copy back and kept the original. Which is very cheeky of him. Here to seize goods or collect payment in full.
And if he didn't want to let you in, then what's your next course of action?
I would probably leave him a letter, give him 5 days to pay in full. So, but I've just he said the police are coming, so I thought I'd better wait for you to come in.
You've done the right thing.
Yeah.
No problem
You've got
at all.
nothing to hide, have you?
No.
Doing your job at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
So whether you want to have a word, like I say, he's not. He's not
Do you want
gonna
the
let me.
original back then, do you?
Yeah, if I could, please. Yeah.
no worries, Luke.
Mr. Mooney allows the police in where he wouldn't let Darryl. And unfortunately for Darryl,
Damn. Locked it.
after 5 minutes inside, the police come back out, having discussed matters with Mr. Mooney.
Okay. Right. Can you do the letter? And then he'll accept the letter. In that 5 days, he's going to contact his solicitor and find out what his options are.
Right.
With the car on a lease and unable to get into the house, Darryl has little option but to do as he's told and leave Mr. Mooney the letter.
Giving him 5 days. If he doesn't pay, he knows we're going to be coming back.
And indeed, some days after Darryl's visit, Michael Mooney sent a cheque to cover the debt. Unfortunately, it bounced. Since then, he's agreed with the sheriffs to settle the debt in instalments over the next 6 months. Mr. Mooney told us he continues to dispute that he owes Sally England any money, but says because of his delay in responding to the court, it's now too late for him to have the judgment set aside. He says he knew nothing of the court judgment until the sheriff's visit and feels he has done nothing wrong. He said he deliberately post-dated his cheque to allow for funds to clear into his account, and it only bounced because it was banked too early. This morning, Sheriffs Mark and Tony are on the road again, and today, the only way is Essex. They're on the trail of a second-hand car dealer called Adrian Lyons, the boss of Auto Car Exchange in Westcliff-on-Sea, on behalf of a very dissatisfied customer. The man they're trying to help is IT consultant Steve McLaughlin from Kent. Steve travels extensively for work, making a safe and reliable vehicle an absolute necessity.
I do a lot of miles. I needed a vehicle that basically would allow me to get around to my clients. I do 25,000 miles a year.
Having decided to purchase a new car, Steve spotted a BMW estate for sale online through an Essex garage called Auto Car Exchange, at which point his troubles began. Steve wasted no time visiting the garage to look at the car and liked what he saw.
I took the vehicle out, the vehicle drove fine. I had no reason to question anything otherwise.
Convinced he'd found reliable transport for years ahead, Steve struck a deal with garage owner Adrian Lyons for £3,100. But just 2 weeks later, while driving his daughter home, something terrible happened.
All of a sudden, I'm driving down the road and the engine revs go through the roof. So I pulled it over to the side of the road. It was still revving very high. I turned the ignition key off, took it out, and the engine was still running, so I got my daughter and myself to get out of the vehicle, and then about 3 or 4 seconds after that, the engine actually stopped. It was quite scary at the time because I've never experienced that before.
The episode had destroyed Steve's engine, and the car was now out of action.
And at that point, it was like, what am I going to do now? I have no vehicle, and I need a vehicle in order to get around. I know that it's quite serious.
Unable to let down his clients, he was forced to make an expensive alternative arrangement, buying another vehicle on finance. Steve then got hold of Adrian Lyons to say the car he'd sold him had lasted just 2 weeks. But Mr. Lyons wasn't that interested and suggested it was Steve's job to find out what had gone wrong.
I was a little bit disappointed at the fact that he had asked me to investigate what was wrong with the actual vehicle. I suppose from the point of view, I just assumed because I'd bought the vehicle, it was my responsibility.
Steve took the car to a BMW mechanic, who proceeded to give him some very bad news. The engine needed a complete rebuild, potentially costing thousands of pounds.
All I was trying to do was see if we could come to some arrangement with the garage, because the fact is I'd only had it 2 weeks.
As the vehicle hadn't come with a warranty, Steve assumed he had little recourse with Auto Car Exchange. Then one of his clients referred him to a part of the Sale and Supply of Goods Act relating specifically to cars. He discovered, because the car had failed within 6 months of purchase, it was the garage's responsibility to sort it out. If they didn't, he could demand his money back. Steve sent the car back to the garage, but Mr. Lyons still refused to pay for the repairs. Steve felt he had no option but to take legal action.
This is not the way to do business with people, and I just think there's a lot of people that feel they can get away with things like that, and I wasn't prepared to allow that to happen.
The case was contested in court, and the judge awarded Steve £2,815, almost the full price of the BMW. But then Mr. Lyons still failed to pay.
All I got was a lot of aggravation. I just would like my money back.
It's now up to the sheriffs to ask for Steve's refund in person.
It's there on the corner up there.
Finding the garage has proved easy. Mark and Tony head straight inside.
Hiya. I'm after Adrian Lyons.
Mr. Lyons isn't there, but the receptionist gets him on the phone. After a short wait, Mr. Lyons arrives.
Well, come in there. What's this about?
Yeah, Adrian, yeah?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. It's about a judgment that was issued, and then they've taken it to the High Court. It's Stephen McLaughlin is the claimant.
Right, OK, I'll show you the paperwork that I've just applied for to the court.
Yeah.
Which I've just been down to get the paperwork from my accountant.
Mr. Lyons says he's written to the court offering to pay his debt to Steve in instalments, and so doesn't believe he needs to pay the sheriffs today. But what Mark knows, and Mr. Lyons doesn't, is that Steve already rejected this offer.
Payment over a period of time.
Whatever action Mr. Lyons has taken, therefore, won't stop Mark enforcing this writ.
This is still a live writ.
They didn't tell me that at the time. They told me that if I sent off the necessary paperwork, application form with £40,
yeah,
they would look into it.
So he's wrote to the court saying, no, I'm not accepting instalments, which he doesn't have to. If a judgment's been made, he doesn't have to accept instalments. He can demand the full amount.
It's news Mr. Lyons doesn't like at all.
Jumped up a bit on that?
Yeah.
What's that, you two getting paid?
There's the fee on there for us coming out, yeah, which is the sheriff's fees. And then the judgment costs were obviously on it. And then VAT. And then you get charged interest.
I can't see how that's legal. If he's refused it, why haven't they told me he's refused it?
I don't know. I can't answer for the court. I don't know.
Mr. Lyons rings the court to check on where he stands, but Mark already knows that he's wasting his time.
I've applied for making a monthly payment. I've just been down to my accountant to pick up the paperwork necessary, and I've got the demand for £3,731 from the High Court. But they're here to seize goods, and I'm saying to them I've got an application going through, and they're saying they're not interested. Right, OK. Thank you very much. Well, what she's saying is, because there's an application going through to Maidstone County Court, I should show that to you, and he's got an application going through to oppose it, but she said that he didn't know that, and she should show it to you, and it shall be a time period wait until he decides what he's going to do.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't put a stay on the writ.
Doesn't put a stay on the writ.
Unfortunately, it's the writ's still live, and it's needs to be paid while we're here.
It's live until actually the court puts a stay on it.
But say that You can see what I'm saying.
No, I see what
saying.
you're saying.
I mean, you can see what I've got it there in black and white.
Yeah, but
from a court. That's the second time in 40 odd years I've been to court.
No.
There it is, asking me what to do.
Yeah.
And giving me a date, period, falling into the tube.
Yeah, but it doesn't put a stay on a High Court writ, unfortunately.
There's no getting round it. Mr. Lyons will have to find a way to pay, or the sheriffs could seize some of his cars to auction to pay off the debt.
So what's the situation?
You need to collect the amount that's outstanding.
Would you want to take a cheque, will you?
No.
Make a phone call.
Yeah, no worries.
That's all right.
While Mr. Lyons checks his finances, Mark takes stock.
I think we've got a reasonable chance here. To be honest, I can see where he's coming from, but unfortunately he hasn't filled in.
There's the system and he's not
followed it.
Followed the system.
There's stuff here. I mean, there's lots of vehicles here, so I think he's going to have to pay, to be honest with you. Otherwise we're going to be taking some stuff away.
Dave, where are you, Dave? If you've got a debit card with 3,800 quid on, do you want to shut up the showroom, pay a judgment for me, and I'll sort it out with you with something else? Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks, mate. Bye.
It's a bullseye for Mark and Tony. Mr. Lyons is going to find a way to pay. Soon after, a friend arrives to cover the payment on their debit card. A paid in full means job done for Mark and Tony.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad actually. He wasn't even in there that long, so he's paid in full. That's a good result for us, to be honest. I'm quite happy with that. That went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to go. He was actually quite a nice guy. He was all right with us. He was quite civil, you know. It's the kind of jobs you quite like doing, to be honest.
So it's all's well that ends well for the sheriffs. And for Steve, who finally got back the money he was owed for so long.
On 13th of June, I received a letter advising that they'd actually been to the premises and that they're pleased to confirm pending clearance they've received the payment in full. Because I borrowed some money on finance to actually be able to purchase the vehicle that I needed straight away, I've actually got the ability to actually pay that finance off now. So it means that I haven't got to find that £200 a month ongoing monthly commitment. You know, I'm really pleased. It's the agony of going through the whole process was worth it in the end, and justice has prevailed.